Okay, welcome to all of you uh, to this introduction to machine learning course. Uh, Most likely we'll be having around 15 lectures over the next 15 days, and hopefully you will be experts, and more importantly I'll be an expert in machine learning. I'm pretty sure neither of those things will happen, but that is the goal. Okay. So usually when we design a system, okay, whenever we design a computer program or any system, okay, what do we usually have? Okay, we have a set of inputs, assuming that we have only one output, and we have some kind of transformation that is happening in the system. Okay, let us call that as this squiggly f. Is that all right? So what do we usually have available to us? Okay, when I'm designing a system, what do I give to the system? Okay, usually what is unknown? The output is unknown. Okay, and what about inputs and f, the transformation that is happening?
It is known.
Huh? It is
It
known.
is known.
It is known, or it is designed by the designer. Okay, that is usually the case. Okay, this transformation, this transform is inbuilt into your program. Okay, into your system. Okay, so the way machine learning differs from any of this kind of paradigm is that you are given a set of inputs, okay, and the corresponding outputs are also known to you. Okay, you know, you can measure the outputs. Okay, for a given input you can measure the output, and the output is also known to you. Input is known to you and the output is known to you. Both of those things are known to you. uh, you need to find out this f. Okay, this transform f has to be determined by your system. Okay, now the system has been changed in a manner that your system should be able to figure out what this f is. Okay, what this transform is. So but what is the end goal? Okay, any idea what might be the end goal of such a an exercise? Why would we want to do this? Why would we want to find this transform?
Because we cannot know the output all the time. Once we find the function f, we can find the output for some unknown inputs.
So one of the so this particular paradigm of designing a system is called as machine learning. Okay, so using a set of inputs and outputs, we are finding out what the transformation is happening in our data. Okay, so Sanjeev is right that in this case, what are we doing? So now some inputs are known to you, and correspondingly some outputs are known to you. Okay, but in some cases you might want to predict, okay, what your output might be for a given input. Okay, so for example, let us say what? Let us think about a system. Okay, so let us say we are designing a system which is to figure out whether you will be admitted in the MTech program at IIT or not. So you need to find this. Okay, obviously we do not know what the data is going to be this year. Okay, but you can means based on the previous year's data you can possibly figure out something. So one of what might be the inputs for this particular, so admission, so admit. Okay, the output of this particular function is yes or no. Okay, what might be the inputs to such a system?
Gate score.
Gate score. in IITs, in MTech admission, I don't think anything other than gate score matters.
Availability of
That is sort of inbuilt into this whole thing. Availability of seats is sort of inbuilt into this. That cannot be controlled by what do you mean? The person who is applying. So think of it from the point of view of the person who is applying. What else? Let us say that maybe BTech CGPA also makes a difference. Okay. So what can we do in this particular scenario? So obviously this transform is not known to us. Okay, we do not have a clear cut that if you have this, then this is going to happen. But based on previous years, assuming that a similar situation happens this year also. Okay, what happened in the last couple of years? Let us say we have the data for that. Okay, we have the data for, so we have gate. Let us call that as, so gate score, I'm calling that particular attribute. So these are called as the attributes. Okay. Can you see this? Yeah, you can. Okay, so we have two attributes here. Okay, or two inputs if you want to call that, or they are also called as features. Okay, so you have how many features? Two features. Okay, let me make assign letter A, G to gate score and B to my BTech CGPA. Okay, so if you have G and B, and let us call this admit as, let us use A. Okay, let us say, and a table is available to you. Okay, for the previous couple of years, a table is available to you which has this particular data in it. Okay, you have your G. What is the maximum score in gate? I have never given gate, so I don't know what it is.
100%.
Sridhar?
100%.
No, that is percentile, but score?
1000.
1000. Okay, so let us say 800 and BTech CGPA, let us say 9.00, and admit was yes. Let us say gate score 600, BTech CGPA 7.6, admit was no, so on and so forth. Okay, so that might be that this data is available to you. Now you want to predict. So I just told you, why are we doing this exercise? Why are we trying to find this function f? Because one might want to predict. Okay, one might want to either one might be curious about whether I'll get selected in IIT Roorkee for my MTech program or not. Or another possibility is that you might be planning which IITs I should apply to get the best possible chance of getting admitted. Assuming that, let us say that you have to pay 5,000 rupees per IIT to apply for MTech. Okay, then obviously you want to optimize your output. Okay, so you do not want to apply at the places where definitely you won't get admitted. Okay, almost definitely. We cannot say definitely about anything, but almost definitely you will not get admitted. What is the point of applying to such a place? Okay, you are just wasting your money. Okay, so so prediction is one of the biggest uses of such an exercise. Okay, that you want to predict whether this thing happens or not. Another thing is that you want to learn something about your data. Okay, let us say you find that there is a linear relationship between, let us say we have only one input in this particular system. Okay, we have one input and one output, and there is a linear relationship that might give you an intuition about what is going on in the system. Okay, that might give you maybe you can improve your system or things like that. Okay, so that might be another use of working on such a paradigm. Okay, any questions? Anybody? Okay. So that is all I will have for as the introduction to machine learning. Now let us talk about a specific thing, which is okay. We'll talk about supervised learning. What is supervised learning? You can think of it as the so. So you have a set of data, okay? A set of data is given to you, okay? But you are also told that this, let us say you are doing some kind of classification, okay? You are doing some kind of classification, okay? One example of classification might be this, okay? What are you doing? You're doing you're classifying whether a person will be admitted or not, okay? So what is happening in this particular case? It is already told. So in this case, what do you have? In the input, so this is also sort of the input, okay? The input that is being provided to this to the machine learning algorithm to figure out what this system is contains what? It contains inputs and what?
Output.
What does it contain?
Output.
It also contains a corresponding output, okay? In this case, it's an admit, whether it's a yes or a no, okay? So that is where the word supervised comes from, okay? You are supervising your learning system, okay? You're telling your learning system what is a good example and what is a bad example. So this is a good example and this is a bad example in this particular case, okay? It's not really good or bad. Everything is good for learning about the system. So it is all the examples are good in that sense, but it's a good example meaning that this particular scenario is getting you admitted and this scenario is getting you not admitted into IIT MTech program, okay? So that is where supervised comes from, okay? You also along with the inputs, you also have what the corresponding output is going to be, okay? Then there is an unsupervised, okay? There is unsupervised learning also. We'll not go into that right now. We'll talk about those things later on, but it is sort of free for all, okay? You're just given a set of variables, okay? A set of variables is given to you and you can think of it as a plot is given to you and you need to figure out what is going on, okay? You have no idea. So in one sense, you have no idea what is good, what is bad as far as good or bad, something like that, okay? You just need to figure out, okay, what is going on, okay? So that is unsupervised learning. Now, let us continue with this example, since that is more interesting than the example I had previously set up for our. So let us plot these two. Okay. This is your CGPA. Okay, it does not matter whether you plot it on X or Y because it is just showing you a relation. Okay. So what am I going to plot this? So I'm going to do a scatter plot. Okay, which will also have, so in this case I have two dimensions, X and Y. Okay, it will also have a third dimension which I will plot using a different method. Okay, what is that method? Let us look at that. So assuming that those who have a so you have a very good gate score. Okay, if you have very good gate score, even if you have a low CGPA, it's very likely that you'll get admitted. Okay, and if you have a very poor gate score, okay, let us say you have a poor gate score, and even then, so let us think of it this way. Okay, even if you have a poor gate score, okay, here you have a poor gate score, and you have What do you think? If you have a poor, so this particular region, what does it represent? This particular region, you have a poor gate score and a poor
Poor.
Is-
It's
BTech CGPA. Okay, both of them are poor. So what do you expect is going to happen in this case? What do you think most of these might be? Huh? Admits might be? What?
No.
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 Okay. So that is where the third dimension comes in. I was just mentioning to you. So instead of plotting those scatter points, okay, those points as circles, I'm going to plot them as crosses. Okay. Now what else? Now obviously these are going to be a little more. So if you have good gate score, but still if you have a very poor CGPA, then also you are not admitted. Okay. If you have a poor gate score and
CGPA.
sorry, this was if your gate score is high and your CGPA is poor, then also you will not get admitted. If your gate score is lower than this quantity, then you will definitely not get admitted. Okay. Okay. And if your gate score is reasonable and but your BTech CGPA is poor, you will not get admitted. Okay. And you might be having some people who are maybe like this. Okay. So is that all right? So this is how your data looks like. Okay. If you were to plot this, this is how it appears like. Okay. Then let me change this a little bit so that my life becomes a little bit easier. Now, if you look at this particular plot, if this is given to you, can you figure out what is going to happen if a new data is fed into this particular place? Okay, so let me say use this orange color. Okay, a new dot suddenly appears. Okay, a new data point suddenly appears, and so we have a new data point. Okay, let us say the data point appears here. Okay, what do you expect to this data point? What should a reasonable algorithm classify that particular data point as?
yes.
Huh?
Yes. Admission.
Admit yes. Okay,
Yes.
you are admitted. Okay, so a reasonable classifier should classify. So we are so reasonable classifier. Okay, so the classifier should classify this as yes. Okay, what about a point that appears over here? What should happen to that via a reasonable classifier?
No admission.
No. Okay, so this should be classified as a no. So I just want to mention it again. This is a yes and cross is a no. Okay. So if I were to draw a line which goes like this, okay, let me use a different color. Yeah, this color might be better. So I drew a line like this. Okay, what is this line telling me? In one sense, based on the what you are seeing right now, what is this line telling me?
It is boundary.
Interface.
Huh?
Interface between.
Sridhar, what are you saying? Can you repeat?
Interface between no and yes.
Interface between. So this line is more precisely called as the decision boundary. Okay, so what is happening in this case? If so, what is this decision boundary telling me? Then anything that is right to this, okay, will be a yes,
Yes.
and everything that is towards the left of this decision boundary is going to be a no. Okay. Now let us say if I were to extend this like this, okay, and let us say that this was 10, okay, that was 10, and this is, let us say it is how much, 850, okay. So if I were to ask you to uh, write this mathematically, okay, write this decision boundary mathematically, what would you do?
Equation of line.
Huh? It's a straight line,
Yes, sir.
okay, and so can you come up with the equation for the straight line? Let us first do that, then we will move forward and see what goes on. Okay, please come up with the equation for the straight line.
The slope is -1/85.
Okay. Or maybe we can use the scaled quantity. Okay, let us scale the gate score. Okay, on this side, let us make it as g by 100. Okay, so what is this going to be? This is going to be 8.5. ठीक है ना? If I do that, maybe my life will be a little bit easier. Okay, I'm using a scaled on the y-axis. On sorry, on the x-axis. Okay, on the y-axis, I'm using the BTech CGPA as it is, but I'm scaling my gate score and dividing it by 100. Okay, it should not make a difference, no. Means everything will get scaled down, the slope and everything. Okay, so it's not going to make a difference at all. Okay. So what is that going to give me? Come on यार, इतना टाइम लगा रहे हो तुम लोग एक लाइन की इक्वेशन लिखने में.
Y equal to -10/8.5 x plus 10.
So what is the equation for a line? It is going to be, let us assume that this is x1 y1. Okay, so y minus y1.
Y1.
Okay, what is y1? 0. Okay, over x minus x1. What is x1? 8.5.
8.5.
Okay, is equal to uh,
Y2 minus Y1.
y2 minus y1. 10 minus 0 divided by 0 minus 8.5. Is that okay? ठीक है.
Yes, sir.
So let us call this variable, okay, instead of g by 100, let us call this as g1. Okay, g1 is, so this is g1. So g1 is this, okay, where g1 is equal to g over 100. Okay, so what is y? What is y? Y is b. Okay, and what is x? It is g1. Okay, so what does this give you? You will get something. What is that something? So 0.85 b is equal to 0.85 b is equal to minus 0.85 b is equal to g1 minus 8.5. Is that okay? ठीक है. So
Yes, sir.
g1 plus 0.85 b is equal to 8.5. ठीक है? Is that okay? Let us try fitting
Yes.
it. So if B is 0, then G1 is equal to 8.5. That is fine. If G1 is 0, B is equal to 10. Okay. So this is the equation. Okay. Or let me write minus this is equal to 0. Okay. So now this is the equation for the decision boundary. Okay. Now if I were to write the same thing mathematically, what would I do? जो मेरी decision boundary है इसको अगर मैं mathematically लिखना चाहूँ, okay, if this is true then the answer should be yes, if this is false then the answer should be no. Okay, what can I do? What are the values for this particular? Let us look at this particular value. Okay, this particular expression. Okay, what is the value of this expression going to be in this case? If towards the right, what is the value of that expression going to be? So please understand that the value of this expression along this line is, what is the value of this expression along this line everywhere?
0.
क्या है?
0.
0. Okay, along this line. Towards the right of the line, what is the value of the expression going to be?
Greater than 0.
Yeah. So on this side, this is greater than 0. Okay, and on this side, it is going to be
Less
than
than
0.
less than 0. Okay, so you can use this expression to mathematically define what your decisions are going to be corresponding to these particular values. Okay, so now what has been done? You are given this table. Okay, you are given this table. Okay, and based on this table, you have come up with an equation between G, B, and A. Okay, so what is that? Let me write this here. Okay, so I have come up with a function for A. Okay, A is equal to yes if G1 plus 0.85 B plus minus 8.5 is greater than
0.
0. Okay, or maybe you can use an equality also. Okay, if you lie on the decision boundary, then also you are admitted. Okay, and no if G1 plus 0.85 B minus 8.5 is less than 0. Okay. Okay. So now we have come up with a function that gives me a relation between A and G1 and B. Okay. Now this can be applied to any. Can we do a prediction using this now? If I were to give a value to you, okay, let us say G1 comma B is equal to let us say 7 comma 7. Okay, now can you do a prediction for me? If the value of G1 and B are given to you, what is the value going to be? What is the prediction? Huh?
4.1.
4.1. What is 4.1? The value of
Positive value.
the value of this expression.
Yes.
Okay, if it is 4.1, then what should happen? What should happen
It is positive value greater than 0.
according to the classifier? A is equal to
Yes.
yes. Okay. Yeah.
Like here we taken greater than or equal to 0 means S.
Yeah.
Like if it is some suppose we consider that like G is very less, and it comes on that, if the point comes on the line in that zone, means it will be known. Like, should we define again like the particular range of like that for that line where it should consider it is as if the point lies on that line,
Means you have to decide something, no? Means what are you trying to say? I don't understand.
sir, if the point is nearer to y-axis, like just below the 10,
Yeah. So if it is here,
then in that case, then it will say yes. If
this point.
sir.
No, it is not going to say yes.
No, if it is on the line, means.
Yeah, it is going to say yes over here. Yeah, that is fine. So what is the problem?
But at the time, low gate score and high CGPA, then it will be no case.
So I don't understand what the problem is. So if your CGPA is 10, then even with practically 0 grade score, you will get admitted. So what is the problem with that?
Like
But
without gate score, like no admission is like that condition. Gate score is low, means he should not get
no,
admission.
but CGPA of 10 also is no longer unlikely. But I'm just giving you an example. Let us say it is 11. Okay, if we obviously there are no points here. Okay, the final point will be below 10. Okay, but let us say if it is 11, then what is going to happen? I think you are going too much into the nitty gritty of this. It's not a big deal. Okay, please understand what I am trying to say.
Okay.
Okay. Did you get the point or not? Forget about this specific example. Let us think about it in terms of the concepts. Are you getting that or no?
Yes, sir. Like if it is positive, fine. If it is negative, fine. Like if the particular point is lies on that line, then what?
Yeah, I think again you are getting hung up in that particular thing. But what is the problem if that point is being assigned to? See, obviously that point is how big is the point? It is infinitesimally. Okay, the point is infinitesimal. Do you agree or no?
Yes.
So if it is on this side or this side, obviously it is going to be, and again classifiers are not 100% correct. Okay, so you have to come up with some decision, no? So if something really falls on this 0, then why do you say that it should go into the no category? So you're saying it should not go into the yes, but I'm saying why should it go into the no? Why do you say that? You have to make some subjective decision, no, somewhere. Do you agree or not?
Right.
Huh?
Somewhere we have to like compromise, kind of.
Yeah, obviously, because this is just an estimator. It's classifying something, but it's estimating the. So let us say if we had. So the original data that we supply to this classifier to come up with a classification system, okay, the original data is called as the training data. Okay, this is your training data. Okay, whatever the white circles and crosses are drawn over here, that is your training data. Now let us say one of the training data was, let us say a person here at this particular value was admitted. Let us say that. Okay, what would happen to your classifier in this particular case? Should you change your classifier first of all?
No. No, sir.
Why not?
Like it's an exceptional case, we can say.
Yeah. So again, those boundary points, probably nothing is going to lie over there. Okay, so those are exceptional cases. So based on this classifier, the classifier is not confident enough to put them either in yes or a no. So we are telling the classifier, please do this for us. Okay, so you can think of it that way. Okay, but let us think about this. How can we modify a decision boundary so that during the training, okay, based on this particular decision boundary, okay, based on this decision boundary, what is the training error? Okay, what kind of error do you expect in training? Okay, so let me ask you, what is going to be my training error in this particular example? This is my decision boundary. It has been calculated
Exception
using your training
cases.
data. Using your training data. So training error is how many errors did you find in the training data? Is there any error in your training data based on this decision boundary?
No.
Based on this decision boundary, all the data, all the training data has been classified correctly. Okay, based on this decision boundary, all the no's have been are below this line, and all the yeses are above this line. So this decision boundary is so in this case the training error is going to be 0. Okay, but in most cases, please understand that in most cases you will not get a decision boundary like this. Okay, you may get a decision boundary like this, but your training error is not going to be 0. In this case, what would be your training error? Let us say we define our training error in this manner. Okay. Yt is not equal to your hypothesis G. Can you read the whole thing? Yes, you can. Okay. So I have not mentioned these things because I have used a different set of variables, but let me mention them once more. Okay. So x is your input. Okay. So set of inputs. Okay. And x t is my tth input. Okay. And yt is my tth output. Okay, so please understand that. Please understand this particular notation, x to the power bracket t. It does not mean this is only a superscript. It does not mean power. Okay, so please understand that this x bracket in the superscript t stands for the tth point. So in this case, so this was your first point, this was your second point, and so on and so forth. Okay, so we are looking at the tth input. So what is x going to be in this case? What is x1 going to be in this case?
8.
x1 की value क्या होगी in this particular case?
8.
Nope. This is x1, the whole input. What is the whole input?
8 and 9.
8 and so 8 and 9. Okay, so that is your x1. Okay, and similarly, what is your y1? What is y1 going to be?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So what is x? X is the set of all the inputs. Okay, set of all the inputs. So first input plus first input, second input, all those things. Okay, put together. Okay, that is x. And so x is the set of inputs given to you. Okay, this is your hypothesis h. Okay, again we are going into a little bit of mathematical terminology, but don't worry about it too much. Okay, so what is hypothesis in this case? What is the hypothesis in this case? Hypothesis means your sort of an assumption or your conjecture about what the decision boundary looks like. Okay, so in this case, what is the hypothesis? Hypothesis is that your decision boundary is this.
Single line.
Okay, so this This is the hypothesis in this particular case. Okay, this is your decision boundary. So what is the training error corresponding to this particular hypothesis, given that this is my set of inputs x, okay, is equal to what? Is equal to sum of all the errors. What is this function? Okay, this is an odd way of writing a function, but that is how this book says it. But let us try to understand what is this. That the output of this particular function 1. Okay, let me. So the function is being defined a little bit in a weird manner. But let us indulge the author of the book for a moment. So is not equal to h xt. What is the value of this function going to be? Any idea by looking at this function? Can you tell me what is the value of this function going to be? Any idea? I'm trying to accumulate all the errors that I got. Okay, please understand that what I'm trying to do. So what is this function going to the values of this function going to be? Meda, are you saying something? I can't hear you.
The 1 if it is true and 0 if it is false.
Yeah, so 1 if yt is not equal to h of xt, okay, and 0 if yt is equal to h of xt. Okay, so in this case, what is the training error going to be? Forget about this. What is the training error going to be in this particular case?
0.
It is going to be 0. Okay, here e in this particular example, it is going to be e h given x is equal to 0. But what about if I had a circle over here? Then what would happen to my error, a training error?
So it will be 1.
It will be
1.
1. Okay, the way this is being defined is, please understand that we are not taking a mean. Okay, we are not dividing by the total value. Okay, here we are just adding those up. So if you had 10 errors, then the value of this is going to be 10. Okay. Now let us say that we had, so if you have only one error, then it might not be a good idea to modify your hypothesis. Okay, but let us say if we had a situation like this. Okay, let us say we had 6 admissions around this point. Okay, 6 admissions around this point. Okay, below this line, and 1 non-admission also. Okay, so what might be a good hypothesis in this case? Do you think this hypothesis is good now? Maybe, but most likely it is not, because it is not capturing the clear pattern around this mean of mean points. Okay, both means the gate score is also not very good, the CGPA is also not very good, but it is good enough. So a lot of these people are getting admitted at this point. Okay, so this particular hypothesis, this straight line hypothesis passing through this is these 2 points is not clearly capturing this anomalous behavior in this particular region. Okay, so do you think that we should modify our hypothesis?
Yes, sir.
Anybody?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So since it is unanimous that we should modify our hypothesis, let us get rid of this hypothesis. So what might be a good hypothesis now? Maybe something like this.
Yes, sir.
Is that okay? Does that
Yes, sir.
seem reasonable?
So,
Means obviously it is not very easily mathematically describable, but this decision boundary is not really, means this captures the essence of what is going on in this particular scenario. Obviously, what is the training error going to be in this case?
1.
1. Okay, because we are getting a no in the place where usually we are getting yeses. Okay, so if we wanted to reduce this, we want to get rid of this no also. Okay, I could possibly, I'll use the pink. Can you see the orange color? Yes, you can. So I'll use the pink color to modify this decision boundary even further and do something like this. Okay. So between these 2 points, please look at the pink curve, not the orange curve. Okay, or let me draw this fully. Can you distinguish between the pink and the orange? Can you see that
Yes, sir.
on the board, on the video?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So if you look at the pink curve, what is the training error going to be in this case?
0.
0. But do you think it's a reasonable thing to do when you are trying to come up with a model which predicts something?
No, sir.
It does not seem really, because this is an anomalous point. Okay, you do not really want to include those anomalies in your model itself. Okay, so this particular pink curve, okay, this particular phenomena, okay, fitting it in this manner is called as the pink curve, might be an example of something called as overfitting. Okay, what is overfitting? You are overfitting your training data. Okay, you are overfitting your model to the training data. Okay, it is too closely following your training data. Okay, what is the goal of the training data, or what is the goal of machine learning, or coming up with this model? What is the goal of that?
Ease of calculation.
Prediction. Okay,
Prediction.
so you want to be predict. So it's not really very important to get the training error 0. Okay, it's not really very important. What should be 0? What should be 0? Test error. Okay, what is a test data set? Okay, so this is the training data, and what is test data?
After training, the
After
data will be
training,
put in.
a new data point that appears is your test data. Okay, that has not been seen by your model during the training phase is called as the test data. So what do you really want? What do you really want your model to do? Your model should be so good that the test error should be 0. If it's not 0, it should be very close to 0. That is the point. Okay, our goal is not to reduce the training error. Although in some cases, reducing the training error results in a reduction of test error. That is the case. But if we reduce the training error too much, okay, then it might give us a large test error. Okay, is that all right? So this is called as overfitting. Now let me use the purple line. So my purple line was the original plot that we had. Okay, what happened in that case? Is that a good fit for this particular scenario? Is the purple line, can you distinguish between the purple line? Yes, you can. Yeah. Okay. Is that a good good fit for this particular scenario?
No, sir.
It is not. Okay, why? It is missing all these points over here. Okay, if I get a new point over here, what is this purple curve going to tell me about this new purple point that has appeared here? What is this purple line going to tell me? This decision boundary going to tell me that this person should not be admitted. Okay, but if you were to look at everything that is around it, they are getting admitted. So most likely this guy is going to get admitted. Okay, so you have to. So this is not fully capturing the what is going on in your training data. Okay, so this purple line is corresponds to a phenomena called as underfitting. Okay, you are not fitting your training data properly to the model. Your model is not getting fit properly to the training data, and so it is called as underfitting. Okay. Any questions? Anybody about this?
So why, if we are reducing our training error, then our test error is increasing? It
Is
should be reduced. It should reduce also. So it should reduce also test error. If we are reducing our training error, then test error should also reduce.
I'll give you a more easier example to understand. Okay. Let us. I'll erase all this. Okay, your four points are given to you in your training data. Okay, this is x and y. Okay, and this line has been fit. Please understand, this is not a classification problem. Okay, it is, we're trying to fit the data, okay, to a particular model. Okay, this is not a classification problem, this is something else. All these points belong to this particular data set, x comma y. Okay, now if I were to fit these 4 data points using a straight line. Okay, that is one way of doing this. That is what you usually do.
Yes, sir.
In your whenever you're trying to fit a curve. Okay, this is what you do. Is that all right?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Now, if let us say instead of a straight line, I fit this using a 6th order polynomial, let us say that. Okay, we have a 6th order polynomial, okay, which goes like this. Okay, you have no idea what your future is going to look like. Okay, you know no idea what your future data is going to look like, but based on this 4 training data points, okay, you have fit a 6th order polynomial. Now let us say I suddenly, so this is your what is the training error going to be in case of the 6th order polynomial?
0. 0.
0. Okay, what is the training error in case of straight line? Something greater than 0. Let us say that we are assuming that this is we are measuring the absolute value of these distances and we are adding them all together. Okay, that is the error. Okay, so do you agree that it is going to be greater than 0 for the straight
Yes.
line? Okay,
Yes,
because
sir.
those points are not lying on the straight line. Okay, but now let us say magically your future points, they appear over here. Okay, in the orange. Okay, the future points, they appear like this. Okay, what is going to happen in this case? What do you think your training error is going to be? Not not training error, test error.
Very large.
Huh?
Very
so,
large.
So your test error 6th order is going to be much greater than test error for the straight line. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
So now you get the point.
Yes, sir, I got it.
So in most cases, obviously, so please understand that when you have only 4 points, fitting a 6th order polynomial is a very stupid mistake. Unless you know that it is going to be a 6th order polynomial. If you have no information about it, based on statistical techniques only, never do something like this. Never fit a very high order polynomial for a very small amount of data. Okay, almost always you're going to get an error because this purple is overfitting your data. Okay, so you will get a very small test error. Sorry, a training error in this case, in case of overfitting, but your test error is going to be very high.
Very
Okay,
large.
because what does it not do? This overfitting does not do good generalization. Okay, generalization. Okay, it does not do good generalization. What is generalization? What is generalization? Any idea? Come on, I just mentioned it indirectly. From the word, look at
An
generalization.
output which is common to all the input points.
Yeah, so the model that is being fit using such an overfitted curve does not do well on a general set of data. Okay, so it does not do good generalization. So generalization means that it should be able to do well on your training data as well as your test data. Okay, uh, that is overfitting, underfitting, generalization. What else do we have? So based on this, let me mention. Uh, I don't know who Occam is, but some Occam, maybe some scientist or a philosopher. I don't know. Occam's razor. Okay, this is a postulate to remember and live your machine learning life by. Okay, simple explanations are more plausible. Do you know the meaning of the word plausible?
No, sir.
Anybody knows what is plausible? Sridhar, you were about to say something. I could not hear you.
No, no, sir. Uncle.
Nobody knows plausible?
Accurate.
Huh? Accurate? Nope. Believable. Okay. Can you look up the exact meaning on Google or whatever dictionary you have? Plausible.
रिलाय तर्क संगत या विश्वसनीय.
Huh?
तर्क संगत या विश्वसनीय. Reliable.
Reliable. No, reliable is not a good word. Anyway, plausible means that it is it is believable, means possible enough to be believable. Think of it that way. Okay. ठीक है ना?
Reasonable. Reasonable.
Huh? Reasonable. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, possible enough to be believable. Okay, please understand that. So if I say that there is a 100-kilometer tall mountain, do you believe it? You probably won't. Okay, so it is not plausible. Okay, think of it that way. Okay, so we usually prefer simpler explanation. So in this case, almost always, until unless we have a very good reason that we know everything about the data, what is going on in the background, we would never choose a sixth order polynomial as compared to a first order polynomial, which is a straight line. Okay, so since we moved on to this, let us talk about the second, which I have already introduced here, the second what supervised learning technique. Which is regression. Okay. So let us say we are giving a data set which contains the what engine power in horsepower, okay, and maybe one more item, age of car, okay, in years, okay, and the price of used car, okay, and let us say lakh rupees. Okay. Any idea what we might want to be fitting? What might we be wanting to fit here? What is the model, expected model? Do you think what are the inputs and outputs of the expected model going to be?
Input will be engine power and age of car, and output will be price.
Good. So let us say you are given 100 horsepower, 2 years old, let's say 10 lakhs, 200 horsepower, 5 years old, let us say 15 lakhs, 300, so on and so forth. Okay. 1 year, let's say 50 lakhs. Okay, something like that. Okay. Now, what do you have? In the previous case, in the previous classification example, what did you have? You had just two options on the output side. ठीक है ना? Output में केवल दो ही options थे. But in this case, what do you have?
Lot of data and output.
You have lots and means obviously a real number, that is your output. Okay. So in this case, y belongs to real numbers. Okay. So obviously your output is also going to be, means whatever the model should spit out, okay, should also be a real number instead of a yes or a no. Okay, in the case of classification, you were just telling your output was just a yes or a no or something like that. Okay, but in this case, it has to be a real number. Okay, so now let us say that instead of let us reduce this problem. Okay, let us change this problem a little bit so that it makes my life easier. Okay, so let us say we are talking about age of, so price of a specific used car. Okay, let us say that specific used car is, what car do you want to say? Anybody who's planning to buy a car? Sridhar?
Jaguar.
Jaguar, come on, shut up. There are no, we do not have enough Jaguars in India to come up with a good model for that. Sridhar, which car?
Verna, sir.
Huh? Honda, which
Verna.
Honda?
Verna.
Varna, okay. That's a good choice for coming up with enough data. Jaguar, no, how will you get the data, yaar? क्या बात कर रहे हो तुम? So let us say we are talking about Hyundai Verna. Okay, we are talking about a specific car. Okay, and let us say we are talking only about, let us say, petrol version. Okay, so there we are removing as many factors as possible. Okay, and assume that so there are 4 or 5 variants within petrol. We are assuming that the used car price does not vary too much with variants, which is true. Once you are trying to sell your used car, you will find out that even if you buy the top model, it does not make much of a difference compared to the lowest model as far as the used price is concerned. Okay, so it's not a very good idea to buy the top model. Anyway, that's a segue from here. But let us say we have a data set like this, 2 years old. A new one is, let us say 10 lakhs, 5 years old, let us say 7 lakhs, 1 year old, let us say 12 lakhs, 0 years old, almost brand new, somebody is selling his car, let us say 14 lakhs. Okay, and maybe one more point. 7 years, maybe 4 lakhs. Okay, something like this. Now, what would you want to do in this case? You would try to fit a curve which goes through means which tries to minimize the error. Okay, like we were doing in that case, we're trying to minimize the error. What is the definition of error going to be in this case? Let us first plot this and then we'll try to figure it out. Okay. Again, the goal here is again prediction. Okay, we want to come up with a function. We want to come up with a function g of x. Okay, so that it is very close to the actual value y. Okay, that is our goal. Okay, we want to come up with a function g of x. Okay, so that it is very close to actual value y. Okay, where x is your input and y is the actual value. Okay, not what your function is predicting. Your function is going to predict something else, but it should be close enough to your actual value. Okay, so let us look at this. So on the y-axis, I'm going to plot. So this is x, and this is y. Y, what is the maximum? It is 14. Okay, and here we have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, and here we have 14, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. ठीक है. So what is the first point? 2, 10. So this is my first point. What is my second point? 5, 7. What is the third point? 1, 12. Fourth point, 0, 14. And last point, 7, 4. Okay. Now again, the first problem in fitting any data is that what should you choose? Okay, and we just talked about Occam's razor, or our basic principle behind any choosing any machine learning model. Okay, please understand that your algorithm, okay, your machine learning system has to be told the hypothesis space. Okay, your machine learning algorithm has to be told this value. Okay, it has to be told the hypothesis space. In the previous case, what was the hypothesis space in the fitting for the Gates admission into MTech? What was the hypothesis space?
Line.
The first hypothesis space. What was that? It was a straight line. Okay, and I was trying to. So when I was trying to find out the slope, okay, I had already assumed what? I had assumed that we should choose a straight line. Is that not correct? I was trying to find the slope of a straight line. That is not an issue. Okay, but once I am doing that, I have already assumed what? That my decision boundary should be a straight line. Is that all right?
Yes, sir.
ठीक है ना? So we are your machine learning algorithm is being told the hypothesis space. So in this particular case, what hypothesis should we choose? What is the most reasonable hypothesis for this particular data set? It appears to you.
Straight line.
Maybe a straight line. I know it's not really a straight line, but let us say we assume that hypothesis for this particular case is going to be a straight line. Okay, let me choose a different color so that so a straight line, maybe it looks something like this. Okay, obviously I have drawn it a little better than what it is. In reality, it does not look like this, but anyway. Okay, let me add a couple more points so that, let us say, we have a couple more points like this. Okay. So this is my straight line. In this case, I have already chosen what? I have already chosen my hypothesis space, which is a straight line. Now I need to find out what? I need to find out what are the two things of this particular straight line.
So age of car and price.
No, obviously y and x. Okay, you have y and x.
Intercept and
But
slope.
for this particular straight line, what are the intercept? So y is
And
equal
slope.
to, so any straight line can be written as y is equal to mx
MX
plus c.
to C.
Okay, but in this case we'll choose a different notation. Let us call that as w1 and w0. Okay, so these are the weights. Okay. Okay. So now, how do I find the values of w1 and w0? What should be looking just qualitatively? What should be the where should the line, where should this line pass through? Okay, there are many possibilities of a line. Okay, you have this yellow colored line I'm drawing. Okay, you could have drawn a line like this. Okay, this is also a valid line. It's part of the hypothesis space. You could have drawn a line like this. This is also part of the hypothesis space. But why did I choose to
Initial
draw,
values.
how would I choose the optimal line?
So by deciding initial values.
Which initial values?
Our data we can
This line also has an initial value. You could
So according to our data, we could assign like if it will like 14. If we know that we have a point 14, so it could at 0.
But before that, we should define in for this particular hypothesis or G. Okay, what is your error? Okay, you have to define the error. Okay, like we did previously. In case of classification of, we also had defined an error. Again, we'll define an error. Okay, again, please understand that we are doing a lot of learning for the computer. Okay, although we call it machine learning, but in reality it is human learning in one sense, because human is teaching which particular error to choose. Okay, so what do you think is a good error for this particular scenario? In the previous
Mean
case,
squared
So
error.
1.
huh?
So 1.
Sir, MSE.
So one possibility is that you could take this difference. Okay, let us call that as if this is my function gx. Okay, so what actual value of y? Okay, so y t minus gxt. So gxt is the value that is predicted by your system. Okay, and yt is the actual value. Okay, so one possible definition of the error might be this. Is that all right? For one value, I'm obviously going to add over all the values, but for one value, the error might be defined like this.
Yes.
Okay, but there is a problem here. The problem is that in some cases,
Can be positive.
some cases your y will be greater than g, and in some cases y will be smaller than g. Okay, so you do not want that. Okay, so one possibility might be to use this. Okay, absolute value of that. Okay, but in most cases we do not do that. We want to make our life a little bit easier or more complicated. I don't know how we want to define it, but we usually use this kind of. Okay, so we do squared error. Okay, so what do we do in this case? So if you have n values, okay, in your data set, okay, you do t is equal to 1 to n. Okay, so y t minus g x t squared. Okay, is that all right? So this is a definition of error. Okay, this makes sense. You want so what are you going to do? You are going to square all the errors. Okay, so the small errors do not make too much of a difference. Okay, in this case, what is going to happen? Small errors are going to become even smaller when you square them, isn't it? Okay,
Sure.
but large errors make a larger influence because they are getting squared. Okay, small errors, when anything smaller than 1, when it gets squared, what is going to happen? It is going to become even smaller. Anything greater than 1, when it gets squared, it is going to become even greater than 1. Okay, so please understand that. So so that is in one sense it is an advantage as well as a disadvantage, because why is it a disadvantage? It is going to, so if you have an anomalous value like this, what is going to happen?
Error will
Error will be
Error will be very large. Okay, error will be very large. Okay, so what is going to happen to your function? What is our goal? Okay, how are we going to find out kahan hai? W1 and W0? We are going to find out the values of W1 and W0 so that my error is, what do I want to do to the error?
Minimum.
Minimize this. Okay, we want to minimize this error. Okay, so what is going to happen if my distance between these two values is so high? What is going to happen? This error is going to be very large, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so let me use a purple color. Then what is where is, yeah. So uh, your line is going to shift like this, isn't it? It is going to get shifted because it wants to reduce this error. This error is going to, this error is very large initially. Okay, and now your system, in the way we have set up our algorithm, we want to reduce the error as much as possible. Okay, so what does it do?
It will shift it.
It will shift towards the top so that this error becomes smaller, and these are also going to become larger. Okay, obviously when you make this smaller, then these are going to become larger because you are moving away from them. Okay, in most cases, but so it is very sensitive to outliers. Okay, it moves your function. Okay, your learned function. Okay, I'm calling that as the learned function. Okay, is very dependent on outliers when you choose this particular mean squared error. Okay, this is called as mean squared. I forgot to mention the mean. It is 1 over n. Okay, n is the total number of data points. Okay, so 1 over n. So that gives you the mean squared error. Okay,
Sir?
so
Sir?
yeah.
Sir, if we see like squared error is sufficient to denote the to denote the error.
Yeah.
Why we calculating mean? Is it necessary to calculate the mean, or it's some specific advantage of calculating the mean?
Then you can compare between various data values. No, let us say if your number of data points in one data set is 20. Okay, and in the other data set it is 100. Okay, they are the same data set, but by that I mean, let us say you choose 20 out of those 100. Okay, okay,
Yes, sir.
then you can make some comparison between those two data sets. No, otherwise you could not do that if you did not have the mean. If you only summed over the 100 points, then obviously your 100 points will have more error as compared to the 20 points.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
So you want to do the comparison between data sets of various sizes. Okay, then it makes more sense to choose the mean. Okay, so that is why I mentioned in the previous case. Okay, we did not choose the mean there. So I feel it's not a very good way of denoting that. But in any case, that's not a problem. Mathematically, it does not make a difference. Both of these values are going to give you the same. What does minimization mean? Okay, what are the parameters in this case? So W1 and W0 are also called as parameters. I think I have mentioned that previously, or maybe not. So they are called as weights or parameters. Okay. So if you look at this particular function, you want to minimize this. How do you minimize this? How do you minimize this? कैसे minimize करोगे?
by shifting weights with some value.
हाँ? What are you saying, Medha?
So by shifting weights with
No, shift. But how will you shift them? That is my point.
the minimum error.
No, I agree with that, but there should be some method for doing it computationally, you know. Or for any function, how do you find the minima? What do you do?
So
Differentiate.
differentiate and
Okay,
then
you'll
compute.
differentiate. Okay, so what are the values? So please understand that yt, this is all from the training data. Okay, this yt is from the training data, xt is from the training data. So both of these are fixed quantities. Okay, they are not changing. Means they are changing between 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. But we are taking the sum of all of them. Okay, so these are not. So if you were to look at this, let me expand this first. So this is 1 over n. Okay, if I were to expand this, what will it look like?
y1 minus
So y1 minus g x1 squared plus y2 minus g x2 squared plus yn minus g xn squared. Is that all right? ठीक है? Is this the same as this? Do you agree or no?
yes sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So all of these values are, I just erased them from here, but all of these are fixed values. Okay, y1 is fixed, x1 is fixed, y2 is fixed, x2 is fixed, and yn is fixed. Once your training data is given to you, xn is fixed. What is not fixed? Obviously, you're going to differentiate over things which are not fixed. No, what are the things that are not fixed?
So g
G. Okay, what are the values in G which are not fixed? They are W1 and W0. Okay, so what are you going to do? So you're going to take the derivative of okay, this should be 0. Okay, and what do we want? And what should happen? Derivative of E with respect to W1 should also be 0.
yes
Is that okay?
yes sir.
ठीक है ना? Is that all right or no? Because we have two variables in this case, like W1 and W0. Okay, so we'll differentiate we'll take partial derivatives with respect to both of them. Okay, so why don't you do that over here? What are you going to get? What is del E over del W0 going to look like if I were to differentiate it from here? क्या होगा?
Uh, 2 y1 minus g x1 into x.
W0.
Sorry, into 0.
W0 ko when you take derivative of so what is the derivative of this going to be with respect to W0? This is going to be
2 y1 minus g
Yeah.
x1
2y1 minus gx1 into minus
into 1
minus 1
into minus 1 minus
into minus 1. Okay, so it is going to be 1 over n. Okay, sigma t is equal to 1 to n. Okay, y1 minus, or let us take gx1 on this side. Okay, because it is inside the square, it does not make a difference. Okay, let us take gx1 on this side so I don't have to worry about the minus signs. Okay, so what am I doing? Gx1 is w0 plus w1 into xt. Is that all right? So what is this going to be? This is going to be 2 times this quantity multiplied by the derivative of this quantity by with respect to
with respect to
w0.
W0.
With respect to W0, what is the derivative of this with respect to W0? So we'll take 2 here, 2 यहाँ पर आ जाएगा. Okay, I took out 2 outside. And what is the derivative with respect to W0? It is going to be
1.
1.
1.
1.
Yes, 1.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
I forgot one thing. It should be minus yt into 1. ठीक है? So this is derivative of your error function with respect to W0. ठीक है? And what is the error function with respect to W1 वो क्या होगा?
So into x हो जाएगा.
हम्म
x हो जाएगा
into x हो जाएगा.
हाँ बस बाकी सारी चीज़ें सेम
2x.
रहेंगी. 2/n sigma t is equal to 1 to n. Okay. W0 plus W1 xt minus yt into xt. ठीक है, this should be 0 and this should be 0. Obviously getting 0 from this is not easy, so we'll use something else. Okay, we'll use something called as, I'll erase all this because this is no longer sort of required. So I'll not use this directly. Okay, I'll not use that this should be equal to 0. It is very complicated. Well, what do you have to do? You have to calculate. Means although it is not complicated in this case, you can get what? You can get the closed form expression. Closed form expression आ सकता है इसमें से नहीं? देखो आएगा या नहीं? How many equations do you have? So this is equal to 0 and this is equal to 0. How many equations do you have?
2 equations.
कितनी equations है हमारे पास?
2.
दो. और कितने variables हैं? Please understand that all of these are known to you. Xt, yt, all of them are known to you.
Two.
So only two variables. So two equations, two variables, you can solve them directly. Okay, but that is not what we are going to do here. We are going to do a general analysis of this. So the general point is, let us say you are given a function like this. Okay, and you want to find the minima. Okay, one way of finding the minima is to find the derivatives and just take the 0. Okay, that is one way of doing it. But let us say that is not possible for us to do it. Okay, so what do we do? Let us say we estimate an initial value. Let us say I want to find this is y and this is x. Okay, I want to find the minima of this particular function. Okay, y which is a function of x, or let me call this as fx. So I start with an initial guess. Okay, my initial guess is assuming, let us say that this is my initial guess x0. Okay, now let us look at what? Let us look at the value of fx0. Okay, where is the minima going to lie? Minima. Now let us look at f. So this is fx0, this value is fx0, and what is the derivative? Derivative क्या है?
d by dx greater than 0.
Let us say this is my derivative. Okay, f prime x at f prime at x0. Okay, is the derivative. Now what do you see? If my derivative is positive, where does my solution lie? Where does my solution lie? If my derivative is positive, where does the solution lie? Huh?
In the left.
Negative.
It lies, if the derivative is positive, then my new solution lies towards the left of my original guess. ठीक है? So I should move my next guess. Let us call that as, so now my new x0. Okay, so let us call that as x1. X1 is going to be a little bit towards the left. Okay, now again let us look at the derivative here. Where is the derivative is positive again? Okay, where should my solution lie? Where should my solution lie?
Left of.
Towards the left of my or x, so x1 is equal to x0 minus some delta f prime x. Okay, I'm not subtracting directly the f prime x0. What I'm doing is that I'm multiplying by some, or let us call that as alpha. Okay, alpha is your, so this is called as a learning rate. Okay, so x1 is equal to x0 minus alpha times f prime x0. Okay, what is f prime x0? It's a positive quantity. What is alpha? Again, a positive quantity. Okay, alpha is also a positive quantity. This is also a positive quantity. Then what is x1 going to be with respect to x0? It is going to be smaller than that. Is that all right? Okay, it is going to be mathematically smaller than that. Now again, my derivative is what? At x1, what is my derivative? It is again a positive. Then I move again towards this side. Then I come here. This is x2, x3 is again derivative is positive. But what is happening to my derivative? My alpha is remaining constant. Please understand that alpha is constant. What is happening to the derivative? As I am moving towards my solution, what is happening to the derivative?
Decrease.
The magnitude of the derivative is going down as I am moving towards the solution. Okay, so the magnitude. So what is going to happen to your x4 with respect to x2? It is also going to move, but the difference between x2 and x3 is going to be smaller than what was between x3 and x2, and that would be smaller than what was between x2 and x1, and so on and so forth. Okay, so as you are moving closer to the solution, you are what is happening? Your movements are becoming smaller and smaller. Okay, so finally, once you reach x4, let us say it becomes almost equal to 0. What happens in this case? At x5, your solution you almost equal to 0. So x5, you find x5. How much will you move at this x5 now? What is your slope? Slope is almost 0. So if you try again, what is going to happen to your x6? x6 कहाँ पे lie करेगा? x6 will be almost at the same location as x5, isn't it? ठीक है या नहीं है?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
ठीक है? So you will stop moving forward. Okay, you will stop moving forward once your movement between the so these are called as iterations. Okay, between various iterations, what is happening between your various guesses? So this is your initial guess. Okay, this is your initial guess. Initial guess. X1 is this is called as updated guess. Okay. Okay, so and each of these value is an iteration. Okay, you are going through various iterations. Okay, so once your xn becomes close to xn plus 1, then what do I do? What do I say? That I have reached my what? The point where my slope is almost
Zero.
what?
0.
0. That means I have found my what?
Solution.
Minima.
Solution.
Minima. Okay, which is what I want to find. I want to minimize this particular function. Okay, but please understand that this function, this fx, is not the same as this fx. Please understand that this is not the same as this fx. In this case, this fx is equal to this error function. Okay, we are trying to minimize the error function, not this particular function.
Yes.
Okay, please understand that although I have used x and y, but please understand that what these x and y are and what this x and y is. Okay, this is your fitting, whatever you're fitting, but this here your error function goes in. Okay, now let us say here you chose an x0 at this value. Okay, but now let us say if you had chosen an x0 which was over here, then what would happen in this case?
Slope would be negative.
Your slope would have been negative. If slope was negative, then what would happen when you do this? X1 minus x0 minus alpha f prime. So this is a negative
would
quantity, so it is
increase.
going to add. Okay, so x0. So your next guess is going to be x1, which is on the right hand side of x0. Okay. Any questions? So this particular methodology of finding the minimization of a function is called as what? It is called as gradient descent. Okay, your descent is being controlled by the gradient. Okay, how fast you are moving down your curve depends on how high your gradient is. Gradient is the derivative. Okay, any questions? Anybody? Nope.
Okay.
Anyway, It has gone much longer than I had anticipated. Uh, so your homework exercise for today is really, really long. Okay, it is testing both your programming and your uh, uh, what machine learning skills. I'll send you a data set. Okay, but you can, or let me uh, do what? Yeah. So you have okay. So you have a random number generator in Python. Okay. Using that, you will generate your data set. Okay. What is your data set? Your data set is y is equal to 2x plus 1. Okay. Plus your random number. Okay. This is your data set. Okay. And you have to fit the most optimal line to this data set. Okay. You are assume, please start. Okay. So let us say you create a list of x. Okay. So x has, let us say, 40 values. Okay. Choose equidistant 40 values of x. Okay. And create a data set like this. Okay. So 40 values between let us say 0 to 40, or not 0, maybe 1 to 40. Okay. So can you create the data set using this? If you know the values of x,
Yes.
okay, and a random number generator is available in Python. Okay, we have not covered it in class, but you can figure out how to do that. Okay, and using this, please do what? Do please generate the values of y. Okay, how will you generate the values of y? If you know the values of x, how do you find out the values of y? Y is going to be 2x plus 1 plus your random number. Okay, whatever the function for random number generation is. But please understand that a random number generates between, so this r belongs to 0 and 1. Okay, it generates a random number between 0 and 1. But I want to generate a random number, what? I want to generate a random number between minus 0.5 and plus 0.5. Okay, how do I do that? How do I do that? कैसे करूँगा मैं? Anybody? Algorithm guys? Come on. How do if this random number generated is between 0 and 1, and let us say that is called as r, how do I modify r so that my new number lies between minus 0.5 and plus 0.5? How do I do that?
We just
Subtract
subtract
0.5.
minus 0.5. Look, we'll just subtract 0.5.
Yeah, so if I subtract, so r minus 0.5 is going to give me what? My new value is going to lie between minus 0.5 and plus 0.5. Okay, is that all right?
Yes.
Okay. So using this, please generate a data set, and using that data set, now that becomes your original data set. Okay, please understand that that becomes your training data. Using that training data, fit a line like this. Okay, using this error function. Okay. So what should be the final line that you get? What should be the value of W1 and W0 most likely going to be? What should it be
2
in
and
ideal case? Huh?
2 and 1. 2 and 1.
Yeah, it should be 2 and 1. Okay, so that is your exercise. I know it is going to take you very long, but it will be a very good exercise, okay, to do. Okay, any questions? You can use lists. You can also, please understand that you are not allowed to use any libraries. Okay, no libraries from machine learning. Everything has to be hand coded. Okay, you have to code all these things on your own. Okay, all these things have to be coded by you. You can take each other's help, but no libraries. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, then we'll continue sometime later on. I'll tell you if we have a class tomorrow. Okay. Bye bye.
Okay.
Sir, we can use inbuilt libraries, na?
Like,
Like for random generator.
obviously, I just told you, you cannot use any machine learning libraries. No derivatives libraries or anything like that. You have to do all the calculations on your own. Okay.
Okay. Sir.
Bye bye.